You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Last night, of course, there was a debate taking place between Vice President Joe Biden and Senator Bernie Sanders. Here's some of what they have to say.
First of all, I have to take care of those who, in fact, are exposed or likely to be exposed to the virus. And that means we have to do testing. We have to get the testing kits up and ready. I would have the World Health Organization. I'd take advantage of the test kits they have available to us, even though the president says 1 million or more are coming. Let's just get all the tests we can done as quickly as we can. Secondly, I would make sure that every state in the union had at least 10 places where they had drive-through testing arrangements. I would also, at this point, deal with the need to begin to plan for the need for additional hospital beds. We have that capacity in the Department of Defense, as well as with the FEMA. And they can set up 100-bed, 500-bed hospitals in tents quickly. We have to lay all that out, but we have to deal with the economic fallout quickly. And that means making sure the people who, in fact, lose their job, don't get a paycheck, can't pay their mortgage, are able to pay it and pay them now. And do it now. Small businesses be able to borrow interest-free loans.
The first thing we have got to do, whether or not I'm president, is to shut this president up right now, because he is undermining the doctors and the scientists who are trying to help the American people. It is unacceptable for him to be blabbering with unfactual information, which is confusing the general public. Second of all, what we need to do, and I'm glad that he has called a state of national emergency, what we have got to do is move aggressively to make sure that every person in this country finally understands that when they get sick with the coronavirus, that all payments will be made, that they don't have to worry about coming up with money for testing. They don't have to worry about coming up with money for treatment. This is an unprecedented moment in American history. Now, I obviously believe in Medicare for all. I will fight for that as president. But right now, in this emergency, I want every person in this country to understand that when you get sick, you go to the doctor. When you get sick, if you have the virus, that will be paid for. Do not worry about the costs right now, because we're in the middle of a national emergency. Second of all, we have to make sure that our hospitals have the ventilators that they need, have the IC units that they need. Right now, we have a lack of medical personnel, and I worry very much that if there is a peak, whether we have the capability of dealing with the hundreds of thousands of people who may be in hospitals. So we need unprecedented action right now to deal with the unprecedented crisis. And bottom line, from an economic point of view, what we have got to say to the American people, if you lose your job, you will be made whole. You're not going to lose income. If Trump can or the Fed can put $1.5 trillion into the banking system, we can protect the wages of every worker in America.
Did anybody care last night?
Anybody care?
About 10.8 million people watched the debate. Did anybody literally care?
Well, I did. I watched it last night, but on the crux of everything shut down.
I ain't watching. No, first of all,
that's why you asked me.
I can't stand hearing Jake Tapper's voice. That whole sourpuss, I can't even stand it. But seriously,
you wouldn't have heard much of it because they kind of just went at it.
Yeah, they did.
Almost forgot moderators were there.
Well, first of all, I think it was great that you didn't have an audience there. You could actually listen to the candidates. I just think right now, in terms of, you can talk about any other issue. There's only one issue.
That's right.
There's only one issue.
To their credit, that they talked about it for the first 40 minutes of the debate.
Well, and I'm saying I think there's only one issue, and I think, frankly, the only thing that we have to judge really is looking at these two. How would they respond if they were behind that lectern?
Right.
That to me, that's it.
Yeah, and that's exactly how it started. And, it really did paint a stark contrast between the two. Because you could really tell that Vice President Biden came to this as someone who, frankly, this is not his first rodeo, right? He's seen crises before. He understands all the various different functions of government that need to be put in place in order to address that. He could talk very extensively about the economic implications and what needs to happen in order to help to correct that. And Bernie, I think he really went back to his broader theoretical underpinnings of this sort of highlights how important it is that everyone has access to Medicare, but he wasn't quite, to me, as specific about what to do in this moment, in a moment of crisis, either in terms of dealing with this health threat or dealing with the economic threat that we're facing as a result of the recession that's coming.
I agree with Davis on a lot of those points, but I think that they were speaking to two different audiences. For Bernie, he was speaking to the people who aren't going to have any coverage, who now are going to be out of work for the next 2 weeks. The folks who are working gig economy jobs who don't have health insurance already. The folks who don't know what's going to happen with their child care. He was speaking to an audience of people who could care less, to be honest, about how Biden helped us wade through a lot of pandemics before, or how he helped us in the previous years under the Obama administration. He was speaking to people who are worried about whether or not they can keep a roof over their heads during this crisis.
Well,
he was speaking
Biden
to
spoke
those
to that
people
too,
and offering them a plan immediately. And he didn't fall back on the structural argument. I think that sometimes, and I'm not a Bernie supporter by any means, but I think that sometimes the structural argument that Biden was making wasn't one that sails as high for those people who are worried about over the next 2 or 3 weeks, my small business is gone. What am I going to do to survive?
Right.
That was something that Bernie touched on over and over and over again.
I don't know, well, I heard Biden also touching on that in terms of specific relief to individuals now. It's not having to pay for anything now, being able to give, fund money, checks specifically to people who need it now, zero interest loans to business owners now. So I did hear that, and I didn't hear that level of specificity personally from Bernie. I think that both of them, it was an interesting way to be able to contrast these two very different perspectives. And if I was to sort of give a sort of an overview, to me it seemed like Biden's focus was what we need to do immediately to overcome the crisis that we face. And I think Bernie's focus was what we need to do structurally to make sure that in the future we can create a better way of handling crises that might be down the line.
I watched it last night because I knew I was coming on here.
Good.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Right. I was trying to do my homework, my due diligence. But as I was in there, like, trying not to I was literally trying to stay woke. But at the end of the day, the overview, I thought it was very boring. Because as you said, there's nothing more important right now than the coronavirus. So anything that they said, it just kind of went out the window. But at the same time, I thought the debate on a whole was very equal. Yeah. I don't think anyone shined more than the other did. And I just think the Democratic Party is still... And the other thing I felt just watching them too, I said, we got 3 white men right now.
Old white men
that represent this country.
That's what happens when we elect a black president. White folks respond. Look, 71% of the total electorate in 2016 was white. 71%. This election will be the first time in likely it's under 70%. White folks are choosing. That's what you have here. It's an absolute... Look, I've always said this here, and the reality is this here. In the history of America, you've always had white backlash to black success. Mm-hmm. That's what you have here, without a doubt. All right, y'all. Also, last night, Joe Biden made some news when he talked about who would be his VP nominee and who would he put on the Supreme Court. You have the video right there. Joe Biden on the VP and Supreme Court pick. So go ahead and play it.
I committed that if I'm elected president, have an opportunity to appoint someone to the courts, I'll appoint the first black woman to the courts. It's required that they have representation now. It's long overdue. Secondly, if I'm elected president, my cabinet, my administration will look like the country. And I commit that I will, in fact, I'll pick a woman to be vice president. There are a number of women who are qualified to be president tomorrow. I would pick a woman to be my vice president.
Just to be clear, you just committed here tonight that your running mate, if you get the nomination, will be a woman?
Yes.
Amisha, big deal?
Absolutely. I think that Joe Biden knows that women are the key to unlocking the Democratic nomination. He knows that it mattered really, really strongly in Michigan. He watched what happened in South Carolina as well. Not only a woman, but a black woman. I think that is the key for him.
Derek?
Yeah, I think he got some points last night with that move right there. What he did, when I watched that right there, I forgot one thing that he did say that I thought was kind of off what Biden said. And she asked him about it was on immigration. And he said that anybody that was arrested, and as long as it wasn't a felony offense, they would not be deported out of here. I thought she doubled down on it, and he doubled down on that
And
question.
the reason I asked that question because the Obama administration deported
Right.
a whole
People.
bunch of folks, and that has been a very sore point when it comes to, and he's also down Sanders when it comes to Latino vote.
Yep.
Avis, you're about the VP pick and also Supreme Court nominee.
Well, obviously, I was excited back in South Carolina when he committed to having a black woman as his nominee to the Supreme Court. Good to see him reiterate it there. And I thought it was actually great strategy by his team in terms of prepping for this debate to announce this idea about having a woman as his running mate at the debate. He knew when that left his mouth that this was the clip that would be run on every news station between then and the next primaries on Tuesday. Just in terms of political strategy, it was excellent.
All right.
He also knew
folks.
that Bernie wasn't going to match it.
Exactly.
And Bernie danced around on the question.
away from that.
He did.
It's like,
She had to ask him like 2 times before he answered that question.
That's why you stated, all right, y'all. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, so a lot of y'all are always asking me about some of the pocket squares that I wear. Now, Robert don't have one on. Now, I don't particularly like the white pocket squares. I don't like even the silk ones. And so I was reading GQ magazine a number of years ago, and I saw this guy who had this pocket square here, and it looks like a flower. This is called a shibori pocket square. This is how the Japanese manipulate the fabric to create this sort of flower effect. So I'm going to take it out and then place it in my hand so you see what it looks like. And I said, man, this is pretty cool. And so I tracked down, it took me a year to find a company that did it. And so they make these about 47 different colors. And so I love them because, again, as men, we don't have many accessories to wear, so we don't have many options. And so this is really a pretty cool pocket square. Now, what I love about this here is you saw when it's in the pocket, you know, it gives you that flower effect like that. But if I wanted to also, unlike because if I flip it and turn it over, it actually gives me a different type of texture. And so therefore it gives me a different look. So there you go. So if you actually want to get one of these shibori pocket squares, we have them in 47 different colors. All you got to do is go to RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. All right, so first of all, that graphic is way too small. So tomorrow we're going to run it right down here all across the screen. So it's RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. All you got to do is go to my website and you can actually get this. Now, for those of you who are members of our Bring the Funk fan club, there's a discount for you to get our pocket squares. That's why you also got to be a part of our Bring the Funk fan club. And so that's what we want you to do. And so it's pretty cool. So if you want to jazz your look up, you can do that. In addition, y'all see me with some of the feather pocket squares. My sister, who's a designer, she actually makes these. They're all custom made. So when you also go to the website, you can also order one of the customized feather pocket squares right there at RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. So please do so. And of course, it goes to support the show. And again, if you're a Bring the Funk fan club member, you get a discount. This is why you should join the fan club. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it.